Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a graphic nature and in graphic detail, and may not be suitable for children under 13. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 27. I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
So how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Looking forward to whatever we got in store for tonight. I know it always catches our attention and normally
you're
leaves
looking
us.
forward to it? That's
Well, I
interesting.
mean, I think
forward to the
I've
surprise.
become so like desensitized after all the insanity that we've ensued over these past 20
I'm
somewhat
simply
episodes.
antagonizing you. I'm just being
I
a little
know.
monster.
I want to let
A
you know how
little
far
monster.
gone I was at this point. Where like, although Janice may take it as a challenge to, if I said that there's not anything that could shock me anymore, he may go out and just, try to find the most brutal case there is.
I've said that many times in my life, and I'm always proven wrong.
Yeah, I love a good challenge. So this one, we're just gonna break in. I'm not going to tell you anything just in case you're aware of it, but I doubt that you guys are on this one because when I heard about it, I was like, how did I not know about this?
Ooh, can't wait.
Okay, so in 2015, all-around handyman Thomas Hogan was approached by a beautiful woman that he knew that lived in one of the buildings that he had been hired to work in. This woman was a single mother, and she needed his help. She told him that she might lose custody of her daughter, and she wondered if he would be willing to kill her ex for her. And if he wasn't,
great.
Yeah, and if he wasn't willing to kill her ex, would he seriously injure him?
And
Oh
then
my.
it turns out well. No,
and of course she would pay him.
Well, we're not doing this shit for free.
Well, one would hope not. So he said that he couldn't do it, but he could put her in touch with someone that could.
Yeah, let me just put you in touch with my guy.
Yeah, everyone has that guy, I guess.
My murders guy,
So this is the crazy story of Marie Martin. And this story takes us to the faraway, magical place of Worcester, Massachusetts.
No way.
Oh, beautiful.
Now, for those listeners who don't know, we're all from New England. Joyous is originally from New Hampshire and currently lives in Boston. Jameson is from Marlborough, Massachusetts, and I grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts. So for me, this was right around the corner, basically.
Wow, could have been you.
Well, maybe. You'll see as this goes. So Martin was born in Boston. She was the daughter of Stephen Parenti of Uxbridge and Jonelle Ference of Marlborough. She was a graduate of Uxbridge High School, class of 2000.
Whoa.
She was employed as a hairstylist in various salons in the area, off and on. And she was also an exotic dancer.
That's a hell of a combination.
No, it makes sense because
that's a day job and a night job.
Yeah, it's both about beauty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
So friends and neighbors described her as an incredible woman, friend, and mother. They said her smile and contagious laugh and spirit could turn anybody's awful day into sunshine. And that's a direct quote, not me being poetic.
Wow.
In 1997, Martin accused her then boyfriend of throwing her from the roof of a 5-story parking garage in Framingham, Massachusetts.
What?
Holy, how do you survive that?
We'll get into that in a second.
Oh my God.
At the time, she was going by the name of Aradia Parente.
I dare you to say that 10 times fast.
Aradia, Aradia. Yeah, Aradia Parente. And she is, obviously, this was before she had changed her name. She was 16 years old, and she was a sophomore at Ashland High, and she accused her 17-year-old boyfriend, Jeffrey Myrick, of robbing her of $1,900 at knife point and then pushing her from the roof of the Pearl Street garage. She said apparently when she was falling, she grabbed onto something, and he, according to her, pried her hands from the railing where she hung 48 feet above the ground.
Holy shit.
In the fall, she broke her back and one of her legs.
Oh,
out of all that, I mean, yes, those are some intense injuries, but out of all that, that's all that happened?
Well, and that's why when Joyous asked how did she survive that, I'm pretty sure the grabbing on to something helped because
Yeah,
at
slow
that
you
point,
down.
yeah, because even as he pries her fingers, she still can grab at the wall, and that the friction of that will kind of help slow you a little, is what I'm imagining.
But
Okay.
still, obviously, a horrific fall.
It's bad. So Myrick was sentenced to 5 to 8 years in prison after a jury found him guilty of armed robbery, but acquitted him of trying to kill her.
Insane, but okay.
Well, her mother went on record stating that she had lied about being pushed from the roof to cover up a suicide attempt.
Holy shit.
Interesting.
So after some investigation, Myrick was released from prison in 2004. So he did unfortunately end up spending 5 years in prison. And maybe that was the whole thing, but they did investigate the claims that she had actually lied and tried to commit suicide.
Right, but he still robbed her, right?
Yes, he definitely still robbed her, and that was part of part of all that, which is just nuts. Although I guess if you think about it, you were just robbed and you just decide to jump off a garage. That's weird.
Yeah, it kind of, I say this a lot, not a psychologist, but that seems weird.
Yes. Although it's
That
interesting that
Although
you
if your boyfriend robs you, that's kind of rock bottom.
yes, that's true too. But it's interesting that you said you were like, I'm not a psychiatrist. I was listening to another podcast where so she actually quoted a disclaimer from a different podcast as sort of a joke. Because this one podcast was like, I am not a psychiatrist, but I have done a lot of research for this show. And it's like, so, and when she said it, she was like, yeah, that's what this podcast always says. And it sort of, so now I've since recycled that, which is kind of funny. So Farron said that her daughter had a difficult life and the two had not spoken for some time after that incident. She said her daughter also used to work in the Providence area, which I don't know if you're familiar. There are a lot of strip clubs down there for exotic dancers.
Haha,
And
yeah, I'm not
Oh
familiar.
yeah, there
I've
definitely
never, I
are.
don't know anything about that.
I'm sure you don't. But it's also Providence for a while had very loose laws regarding escorting and that sort of companionship laws. Basically, as long as you weren't out on the street and you were doing things online, for a while it wasn't illegal. So there was a big, and this is back probably around that time because this is 2015. So her mother said, me and her, we had a tough life. Maybe she'll find some peace now, is basically what she was saying after all
Oh,
that.
that's creepy.
So Martin met her ex-boyfriend, Matthew Biusu, while working as an exotic dancer in the early 2010s. The two dated and had a baby girl together. Martin lived off and on with him and their young daughter in a place on Thenius Street in Worcester. Now, tenants at this building identified, basically, they knew that Matthew Bioso was the father of the little girl. Like there was some speculation, but tenants have all come out and basically said, yes, he was definitely the father. But he was also the landlord of the building.
Interesting.
So he
That's a
owned the
weird
house.
power dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, a lot of neighbors said that Martin generally kept to herself. She would just say hi and bye and kind of occasionally talk to any other parents about the kids, but that was pretty much it. Like she didn't really chat too much. Now, Thomas Hogan was kind of this all around maintenance guy who Matthew had hired to do housework, kind of do repairs and maintenance and all that other good stuff at the apartment building around that same time. But as the years passed, the relationship between Marie Martin and Matthew started to fall apart and eventually transformed into full-blown animosity.
Yikes.
Neighbors basically said that Hogan, even though like he's sort of a part of all this, he was always very cordial, very friendly, never disagreed with anybody, but he eventually moved on and stopped working at the apartment building. Now, Martin would eventually have to move out because of the breakup, which, again, like you said, it's a power dynamic. If he's the owner of the house, you guys break up and it gets ugly, she has to go. So she started living on the third floor of 6 Granite Street, which is like a 3-decker, but this is down in Webster, Massachusetts. And Matthew decided that he was going to fight her for custody of their daughter, and he began the legal proceedings.
Well, now stuff's going to get really nasty.
Well, the thing is, there's no information about what Marie Martin's life was like at this point, But the fact that she was so concerned about losing the custody of her daughter would suggest that there's something more going on there. Because in Massachusetts, for someone to take your kid from you as the mother, you have to be proven to be a pretty bad mother.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Or just poor. I mean, she's probably just financially in a bad place.
Maybe,
And
but
he owns property.
yeah, you know what? You're right, because she's a dancer and a hairdresser. So yeah, her income's probably not on the books.
Right?
Because,
It's tip based.
correct.
And yeah, you're right. It's probably not on the books. So the state would look at that and see her as an unfit parent,
Right.
simply
And
because of how much money she has.
right, and who knows what they think of her particular profession.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point now, Martin begins actively trying to hire someone to assault and or kill her ex-boyfriend. This is where she asks Hogan to do it. Now he declines and says he'd put her in touch with someone. And the first person he reaches out to, he took the cash, and Hogan showed him pictures of Matthew and where he lived. But this person disappears with the money.
Yeah, I could
I
have
mean,
seen
that's
that
a smart
happening.
guy.
Right. And it's funny because obviously I don't know who this person was. I don't have a name, but that's kind of hysterical. Because what are you going to do? Call the cops?
Right. I'm sitting here wondering, like, could you get in trouble for accepting that money and saying you would do it? Like, could you get charged with, like, I don't know, intent? But if not, like, kind of slay.
Yeah, if you could, if they could prove that you took it and intended to do it.
True, but that would be kind of hard to prove. So
Well,
honestly, it's the perfect crime.
Have you watched the Tiger King documentary?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the guy who eventually reports and gets the Tiger King there, Joe Exotic, in prison, the guy who
Yeah.
took the money and then changed his mind, he didn't end up in jail,
Oh,
but he was forced to testify.
that makes sense. That was probably his little plea deal or whatever.
Right, because he was the one who agreed to kill Carol Baskins and then disappeared. So.
Oh, I forgot how good that is. I need to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah, that was so good. There's like a sort of like a second season or like a spin-off where they talk about one of the other guys that owns exotic animals.
Oh man.
The one from North Carolina, I think. That one was really good too.
Yeah. Oh man, sometimes.
So
crazy shit. People are crazy, man.
It's nuts. That one's too high profile for us to cover, and we all know it, so there's no shock value to it. But
true.
So after the first person takes off with the money,
how much money do we know?
For the first one, no, we do not.
Okay.
I do know for the next one though.
Slay.
Apparently, it must have been substantial enough for him to, agree to kill somebody.
Just wait.
Oh boy.
So Hogan sets Martin up with a man by the name of Donovan Goparian. Now, Goparian agrees to serve as the hitman for a grand total of $2,500.
What?
That ain't bad.
No.
I'm sorry.
No,
what?
Absolutely not.
I'm not going to kill someone for the cost of a used car.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to kill somebody for 2 months' rent.
Right?
You shitting me?
Yeah, I can't even get over that number. And maybe that was supposed to be a down payment. I don't know.
Down payment on a murder.
Right? Yeah, I need a deposit.
Can I get a mortgage out on this guy's fucking life?
So on November 4th, Hogan drives Goparian to Webster, and he drops him off where Martin had agreed to meet with him. So they meet at Webster Lake to finalize the details of their deal. Then, for reasons that are not made clear in any of the articles or reports that I can find, Goparian shot Martin in the head.
Whoa. Holy hell.
At this exact same time, Hogan is trying to call Martin. She actually picks up the phone and says that Goparian had just shot her.
Whoa.
She says he's been touching me and he shot me. And then the phone goes dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Hogan kept calling Martin's phone. Finally, Goparian answers. He admitted to killing Martin and told Hogan to keep his mouth shut or his family would be harmed.
Whoa. This is a weird twist.
Right? Isn't this amazing? That's why I started with the whole she's just hiring someone to kill. Yeah, I love this moment.
You got to be careful when you're working with hitmen. They might hit you.
So investigators claim that Goparian shot Martin in the face, but then
Whew.
since it didn't kill her, he then choked her to death. Because
He didn't have another bullet?
well, that's my thought. I was like, why didn't he just shoot her again? But apparently that's how it went down.
And wouldn't that put you in more incriminating position if you're getting fingerprints and DNA and all of that?
You're both becoming very good at sort of predicting where things are going, but I'm gonna get to that.
All right.
We're stealing your thunder here.
No, it's good. It's good. So Goparian then drove Martin's car with her lifeless body in it to Worcester to meet up with a relative, and he admits to attacking her.
I mean, if you got a dead body in your car, you're probably going to Worcester anyway, so.
Right? Why not? For those who don't know Worcester, it's really not that bad, but it's
really not.
It's gross, though.
It used to be that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a very beautiful city now, but it does get to be the punching bag of the state, so.
Well, I think Springfield took that title now.
Oh, very true.
Yeah.
So our listeners not from Massachusetts, sorry you have to listen to this bullshit, but.
So Goparian asked his relative that he just stopped to their house for gasoline, threatening to hurt that relative's family if they spoke to police, which is weird to me because wouldn't that be the same family?
Wouldn't that be hurting yourself, brother?
Right? Although I'm thinking maybe it's like their kids or something.
Yeah.
You know? So that relative, as soon as he left, immediately contacted the authorities.
Nice.
So good for them. So he then has a woman he knows follow him. And it's not clear if it was the relative and the relative called after, or if this is someone new to the story, because they never identify who this person is in any of the articles. But he has that person follow him to Swan Ave in Worcester. However, first, he decides to stop at Dairy Queen for something to eat with her body still in the car.
No.
I gotta get my Blizzard, baby.
Oh, God. Priorities,
Sometimes, man, I need my chicken strip basket.
Right? I mean, it's just that good. You got to stop that aroma of meat.
Oh, Lord. No, I gotta go. Sorry, my mom's calling. I have to go.
So, yeah. But upon arriving at Swan Avenue, the woman that Goparian had followed him saw him light the car on fire, poured the gasoline, and lit the whole car. No, on a place called Swan Avenue.
Oh, okay.
This is actually quite a good distance away from where the Dairy Queen is in Worcester, which I had to look up because I was like, "There's a Dairy Queen in Worcester."
There is.
There is.
Sorry, my new band title is "Murder at the Dairy Queen," and
yes.
Thank you very much.
Murder at the Dairy Queen, but we're gluten free. Yeah. No, I screwed that up. I meant lactose intolerant.
Anyway.
Oh,
that's good. No, I'm here for it.
Sorry. So later that night, firefighters were called in because there's a fucking car on fire on Swan Avenue, and they arrive at 10:30. They found the car that was on fire on an unpaved road away from the busy streets of the city. Inside the car was an unrecognizable, like an unidentifiable body, obviously the remains of Martin. It would take the chief medical examiner's office to be able to identify who she was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how long after he had first set the car on fire did they find it?
Well, it says 10:30. It doesn't say when he arrived to set the car on fire in any of the articles, but knowing Worcester and the area that was in. So I don't know how well you guys actually know the layout, but this isn't too far from a place called Coe's Pond. So there is a major road connecting basically Tatnick Square to Webster Square.
Oh, yeah.
Runs along this area. It's up a hill and off some dirt roads along that way. So
someone would have seen like the smoke.
Yes. I mean, it is nighttime, but someone definitely would have seen both the smoke and the flames.
Mm-hmm.
So the autopsy did determine that Martin died as the result of a gunshot wound to the head. But Dr. Mindy Hull, the state's chief medical examiner, testified that because her body was so badly burned, it was impossible to determine whether or not she had actually been choked.
Interesting.
Now, Thomas Hogan would soon be arrested. because obviously the relative of Goparian is calling the police, and I don't know
Mhm.
if he mentioned Hogan's name or how that played out, but Hogan would be arrested. Now, the DA's office said that at the time, Hogan gave misleading statements to an investigator about his contact with Marie Martin. He was identified as a suspect, but he was never charged in her death. He was
Oh,
released on bail for $3,000.
that's it.
That's it.
Damn.
Interesting.
So neighbors of Hogan expressed surprise at his arrest, describing him as this kind person who often volunteered to plow their private roads in the winter. So, I mean, he didn't really fit the bill. But realistically, he didn't want to kill somebody, but he's fucked because he didn't report it when she asked
Right,
him to.
exactly. He's wrapped up in problematic shit.
Exactly. So once it was reported that Marie Martin was dead, Matthew, the father of her child, was texting, which I find surprising, texting with reporters. And he described her as a very beautiful woman who cared about their 5-year-old daughter, that she had an intense desire to live life to the fullest on her own terms more than anything else in the world, and that she loved their little daughter. Now, for a guy who probably just learned she tried to have him killed, I have to say those are some pretty kind words.
For
Yeah, I would
sure. For
definitely say so.
sure.
Yeah.
But also it keeps him out of the limelight of like them thinking he did a Uno reverse, no, I kill you.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would be a great twist, but no, that didn't happen. So while in jail awaiting for his trial, Goparian became friendly with another man on his cell block. And this other inmate ended up threatening witnesses not to testify at Goparian's trial.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
Yeah, how is
Unfortunately,
he intimidating witnesses from inside the jail?
he's either talking to people that are on the outside or he himself was released. It's not clear. Again, these
Yeah, I guess
articles.
he must just be a powerful guy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's hard to believe. It's not like it's Worcester, Mass. It's not like it's New York where you would actually have to worry about the mafia. Although
There's bad people everywhere,
I was
man.
going to say Massachusetts did have its share of mafia types. So Goparian, while sitting in jail, became known as the ice cream man by other inmates because of his stop at that Dairy Queen with her in the car.
Whoa, that's fucked.
Yeah, that's really fucked up. What an interesting way to get a nickname. and now
I
I have
I
the
would
Van
love to
Halen
like
song.
know all the history between, nicknames of all these serial killers and murderers and like
Well, most of
uh,
them are pretty obvious, I think.
but
You
like
know,
some of the like this one here, like I find that interesting that's
yeah,
how it
that
came
one's
about.
funny. Yeah, that one's clever. Whereas, like, the Boston Strangler, that one's just straightforward,
Yeah, it's like, oh, I wonder what he did.
right? And where he did it.
Yeah, I'm a
in
loss. I have
in
no
New
idea.
York with a gun.
In the living room with the candle. Yeah. Anyway. So his attorney accused the police of sculpting their case against him by influencing statements made by witnesses and ignoring evidence.
Bold.
They also said that the prosecution pinned far too much of their case on Thomas Hogan, who agreed to testify to lower his own punishment. However, upon investigation, investigators did fail in a lot of ways. They failed to collect emails between Hogan and other people, especially Martin. They also were inconsistent on how they recorded interviews with witnesses.
Oh, that
Meaning,
seems like a real big slip up.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's messy as shit.
yeah, that's not good. Now, Hogan did testify during the trial after agreeing to cooperate with the prosecution, which I basically just said. And he was basically instrumental in everything that took place after. Now, the witness intimidation charge that Goparian had against him was eventually dismissed. I'm assuming because they had trouble proving it.
Mm-hmm.
And he had other charges besides murder, which were also dropped. And those included malicious destruction of a motor vehicle and misleading police, which, okay.
Those don't seem like very serious charges. But...
Well, I wonder why they dropped him, Like, because usually what the prosecution wants to do is they want to hit you with as many charges as possible. So if the
Mhm.
big one doesn't stick, maybe they can get you with a bunch of the little ones, and that will add up to a good prison sentence.
Right, that seems like a solid strat, but
Yep. But Goparian, who was 42, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, which, is exactly where he should be.
mhm.
It's unfortunate, I think, that Marie Martin can't be punished for the crime she was gonna do, but I
Right.
guess technically she's been punished.
Yeah, she paid the
Yeah.
ultimate punishment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
what she wanted was to be with her child, and she had that taken away from her.
yeah, it's true. But I mean, I personally, like, I can't imagine reaching the point where you want to kill someone to keep custody of your kid.
Right, like at least you can have visitation. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's that whole thing is fucked up and backwards to me. It
Yeah,
really
obviously it's
is.
gone too far.
Right. And that is everything I have on the case of Marie Martin and Donovan Goparian. So I told you this was a short one.
Yeah, that was quick.
But there aren't too many but there aren't too many interesting ones that happen in and around this area. So I couldn't pass up doing this one when I saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting to hear about a case that, you're like, oh my God, that's literally hitting home.
Yeah, I could drive there in like 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like this is one of the rare ones where I'm like, no, she got what was coming to her a little bit. Like,
She did. And
not that but like you
you're
tried to
not
get someone
advocating
killed.
for murder. Right, exactly.
Right. You try to get someone killed and you got killed,
Well, the
Mess
question
with the
then,
bull, you get the horns.
right, and the question is, what did you do? What happened in that car that led to her getting shot?
Yeah, I really wonder what happened in between her trying to hire him and him immediately killing
She,
her instead. I mean, I guess he probably got the money either way.
well, my guess is, I'm thinking he probably wanted more than just money, because she did say when Hogan called her, she did say he's touching me.
Right, so he probably tried to assault her.
That's my guess. He was probably insisting, well, you're going to do this for me because you're paying me only this much, and I'm
Right.
about to do this much worse thing for you. So I don't know, because everyone described her as being beautiful. She is an exotic dancer, so I'm assuming, like, I have seen photos of her, but I don't know what she looked like in that moment.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I hope that kid's okay. I hope that father's not a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think of that. And it's been what, 7 years, 8 years since that happened? 2015,
Yeah.
so 8 years. So that kid, it may or may not be a teenager now. This is funny. This is like the third case we've had where that's happened. We've talked about kids that maybe are teenagers now.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, hope they're okay. What a fucked up way to start your life with,
With your mom
one of your
being,
parents tries to kill the other and then gets murdered. That is some fucking childhood trauma.
yeah, that's fucked up. And I'm wondering, because she would be the age of some of my nieces and nephews. So and if they still live in this area, shit, she could know my family. It would be really weird,
Oh, that would be really twisted.
Close
right?
to home.
It's so weird. But all right, so thanks everyone for joining us for this 27th episode of Unsung Murder Ballads. Reach out to us on our socials, give us some case suggestions. We're all ears. We do have some very special things coming up for you in the near future, and we'll be kind of teasing you a little more on that as we go before we make the big announcements. But thank you all. I am Janus Dead,
I'm Jameson dead.
And I'm Joyous dead.
and we'll see you next week.
Bye.